Do your duty to your school. It's VGC, the video game podcast, with me, Jordan Midler, Chris Scullion, and Andy Robinson. This week, Tony Hawk is on the tease again, but first, how's it going, folks? Chris, you baldy bastard, how are you?
Doing good, thanks. What was that one? Do your duty to our school, I think. Is that Taylor again, or is that...
No, it was a reference to our dearly departed Maggie Smith, God rest her. It is a line from a film franchise that I'm sure you can't guess, but she was one of those wonderful people that actively made fun of fans of that who were too old. So great
Good.
respect.
Fair play. God rest her then.
Yeah, God rest her. How are you?
I'm good. Otherwise, I've been finally out the Silent Hill 2 mines.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still in mines for another game we can't talk about yet, but it's just mines as far as I
Excuse me.
But it's good. All good. Can't complain. Yeah, my head's feeling a bit colder, but other than that,
I'm also deeply in the mines for something you'll hear about next week. Andy, any mines
this is a
for
good podcast,
you?
isn't it? Yeah, we're just all playing stuff we can't talk about.
redacted episode.
I've just played something I can't talk about as well. There you go.
Whoa! Okay, fill it in the comments. I'm playing GTA 6. Chris, what's your tipple this week? I'm actually double fisting. I've got 2 shades of pink, as I usually do. I've got the Ultra Strawberry Dream and the Ultra Rosa.
I've not tried this before. I'm going old OG with Red Bull, and it's the Ruby edition, which allegedly tastes like spiced pear, which I believe is just pear and cinnamon.
I preferred Sapphire. Pokemon joke, folks.
That's good.
There we go.
So we're going to try it out. I don't know if this is the Ruby edition. I think I might have seen this in the shelves before. I don't know if this is necessarily a new drink. It's just new to me.
I thought the can of that colour was like a cranberry type situation. I think I've tasted
maybe new for this year then.
Potentially. Get a review going. How's the bouquet?
I'm getting a pear bouquet, not so much the spice, but we'll see.
Chris Gillian is ingesting the drink. How are you feeling on it?
It's the audio description.
Yeah.
I'm not getting the spice, but it does taste quite pear-like. I quite like that.
Just like a wee pear. I like as a fruit. I think a pear is underrated. You know, they're difficult to get to the right like softness that you're wanting.
I like a Red Bull special edition. The yellow one they do, the lemon one's nice. I like that. I could get behind that.
One of the times I have been the sickest in my life is around the first time that I ever had plums. One day. I got pure addicted to plums, right? And one day I was sitting on the couch and I was just sick everywhere, and my mum was like, "What's wrong? What happened?" I was like, I'd eaten 7 plums that day, and it just all came out at once. And from that moment, plums kind of went off the list of acceptable fruits around this.
You were on to plums. That feels like the modern version of the Peter Andre story, where he ate too many bananas and was rushed to hospital and nearly died with potassium poisoning. So yeah,
Peter Andre, who performed at the Conservative Party conference this week. So things are looking up. Yeah, he performed at the Conservative Party conference.
Mysterious Girl?
He literally performed Mysterious Girl with a bunch of ex-Tory ministers on the stage.
Peter Andre
Mysterious Girl.
Yeah. I bet he didn't have the boy that went, "Baby girl." I bet he wasn't there.
Insania, if you ask me. Okay, before we get into it, if you want more podcast videos and more VGC, patreon.com/Video Games Chronicle. That okay I hit there was a bit shows. It was a bit guy on the wall. So it was going, okay, scream if you want to go faster. Speaking of revolving, Tony Hawk is teasing again on Sunday. Hawk marked the original Pro Skater's 25th anniversary with a post on Instagram saying he was immensely proud of the series. Quote, "I'm not supposed to tease anything about the future of the series, but there will be a future." Recently, on a YouTube interview, he said, quote, "I wish I could tell you more, but I can't tell you. I've been talking to Activision again, and we're working on something." Chris Scullion, I am so excited about this. I can't possibly be let down. Activision only does good things.
You definitely can. You definitely can be let down. Yeah, I think we all want 3 and 4 remakes.
Yes.
But we'll see. Tony Hawk has
number 3 is my favourite.
Three's
the best. See, when they added the revert, that changed everything. That was it. Tony Hawk has had passed for like like kind of hyping things and then them being like not as good as he was suggesting. So we'll see. I'm cautiously optimistic, but now that kind of like Microsoft owns Activision, they were kind of dropping hints in the past that they would like to kind of do the right thing for once.
Yeah.
We're talk about old properties coming back, so I'm hoping that means 3 and 4 or a new Tony Hawk, which isn't as bad as 5 was.
I would honestly, if I had the option, I would want them to at least try a 6. Like, just try a 6 with the sensibility of those first 3 games. Like, it doesn't have to be an open world thing. Like, just get on with it. I think
give us 3 and 4, and then just use that same engine to make new maps.
To me, that game, right? This is a weird memory to have, but that was peak multi-platform gaming.
Yeah,
like if you think about it, that was the last time where like a big third-party game like that could come out on 3 platforms, like parity. Like it was on Xbox, PS2, GameCube. And I just remember like that kind of year, like getting stuff like SSX Tricky and Tony Hawk's, obviously Pro Skater 3.
Was Pro Skater 3 the one with the good Game Boy version, Chris, or was that 2?
That was 2, but it was also 2. But they were even. You mean the Game Boy Advance?
Yeah, the
Game Boy Advance. That made me 3 as well. There was a couple on GB and they had that fantastic. It was like isometric, but played really well. It was also Tony Hawk 3. Talking about it being cross-platform, it was the last North American N64 game.
Oh, interesting.
It was the very. I mean, it ran like shit on N64, but it was like it crossed those boundaries. So yeah, it was a PS1 and an N64 game plus a PS2 game and an Xbox game and a GameCube game and a Game Boy Color PS2.
What do we think is the record for the game that released on the most platforms at once? It's got to be a FIFA game, hasn't it?
On the same day, yeah, maybe
the same day,
probably a FIFA or a Just Dance or something like that. Obviously, like spanning generations, you've got stuff like
it'll be like Just Dance or
Didn't Just Dance 2020 come out on like the Wii or something?
Guitar Hero.
Yeah, maybe
it'd probably be Just Dance because I'm sure they were still releasing a Wii version like 10 years later.
Yeah, there'll be a year when it came out on Wii and Wii U and Switch and 3 generations of Xbox and shit like that. Going across generations, it might be something surprising like Clacks. Like Clacks seem to come out on everything over the course of like 20 years at one point. So it might be something weird like that. But yeah, on a day and date, it would probably be a Just Dance game or a FIFA game when they were doing legacy ones on PS1 and PS2 and PS3 at the same time.
It's not a console until it's got Clacks on it. That's the seal of approval.
Famously.
Just circling back on your point, Chris, yes, Tony Hawk has he has an interesting relationship with that franchise because he seems basically incapable of admitting any of them were bad. Like he was like defending Ride and Shred and all this stuff, which I mean, if your name's on the box, I understand it completely, but I think he seems tuned in enough to know that people really, really liked 1 and 2. The remake of those in a way that they hated the HD version they did on the PS3 kind of era consoles. So I think my only concern is that 4 is a pretty different game from 1, 2, and 3. So I could maybe see them like just doing 3 and then making a 6 rather than, because if you get into 4, it's like the more open world kind of stuff, which is a different proposition. The thing they'll never do, I don't think, at least not extremely compromised in removing most of the characters in the game, would be Thug remakes, because it's just Thug 1 maybe, Thug 2 no chance they're ever going to do Thug 2.
I wouldn't even be against. I'm forgetting because they did 1 and 2 and then they brought 1 and 2 on PS5 and Series X already, didn't they? Because I was thinking that it would have been made even sense to kind of re-release them on that and add 3 as DLC, but if they've already done that, so yeah, you're right.
I don't think it's
going to be
DLC at this point.
No, it's too late. It's too late now, so it would need to be a standalone. And it'd be interesting to see whether 4 gets included in that. But
the way that menu was set up originally, it looked as if they were just going to plug in like all of the games eventually, and maybe that was the plan. But I think if they were to do a 6, I think I would want it to be like a run based, like 3-minute score, get your skate, get your secret tape, just do it across like 20 levels or 30 levels. Like, I'm not really bothered about like a Proving Ground / Project 8 American Wasteland style open world whatsoever.
Yeah, I don't. That was the era where they just were experimenting and messed about with stuff to try and do anything to make it feel different. When all people really wanted was just score attack.
Exactly.
Don't piss around. Just give us like ollie over the bums, as the kids say. That's about it. Don't go crazy.
It's kind of amazing that we're potentially getting Skate and Tony Hawk back at the same time after both of them being gone for so long.
I'm worried about Skate.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's taking too long in there.
We're still working on it.
But I think they might have announced it too early. Like,
they definitely
they had to, because
I'd
everyone
agree
kept
with
asking
you
them.
if they weren't like if no one had seen it. The reason they asked it so early is because they're building it with the community, which is the smartest thing they could have done. People have been playing it since day dot before it even had graphics. It's being built with those. That basically almost guarantees that it's not going to be shit. It's being built with the community.
I hope so. I don't know. It's just when they brought like one of the kind of more recent trailers and that, we still don't have a release date.
The Tim Robinson one.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, but okay. I get it's nice that they're building it with the community, but I'm worried about everyone else losing their patience.
I'm as cautious as anyone about a new Skate because it means so damn much to me. But it's the right people. Like, they got a lot of the Black Box team back, even though that studio doesn't exist anymore. So hopefully we should be okay.
We'll see. I hope I'm wrong, because I'd love it to be brilliant. But we'll see.
We shall see. Skateboarding games, right? That's done. Bring back music games next. Guitar Hero, Rock Band 5, and DJ Hero 3 all in the same year. Thank you very much.
DJ Hero's immaculate.
We talk about DJ Hero every 5 minutes, but it's worth it. The next story is a dagger to one Andy Robinson's heart. Nintendo Museum scalpers should burn in hell. The newly opened Nintendo Museum in Japan has begun limiting the sale of certain items. The museum only opened its door to the public on Tuesday, but online marketplaces are being flooded with items bought from the venue. In a bid to combat scalping, the museum has placed a limit on the sale of certain items, such as the massive controller plushes, cushions that you may have seen online on Mercari, which is like Japanese eBay. The Nintendo Wiimote, which is the one that I would want, is going for over $215. Andy, who could have seen this coming apart from everyone?
You don't know how much of this has ruined my week, how much has dominated my week. The planning now of how I'm going to attempt to give Nintendo as much of my money as possible. It's kind of like, it's frustrating for a couple of reasons for a materialistic fan like me. I guess the first frustration is, how did they not see this coming? They announced it after the first day, which kind of is pretty solid evidence that it's a bit of a knee-jerk reaction, right? Mm-hmm. Like that people have gone in on the first day and, oh my God, they've bought everything. You know, they want to buy everything. Yeah.
The guy turns up, it is like, oh shit, the shelves are completely empty. There's nothing here.
I thought they'd just buy one of the big plushes. No, that was my full intention. I'm going to go there. Like, I've literally, behind me somewhere from Amazon, I've got shrink vacuum backpack bags. Like, I was going to vacuum those motherfuckers, get them back to the UK and have them all behind me.
Yeah.
Which comes to my second frustration. But the only way I can do that now, I know that they've implemented this to stop scalpers, right? Because there's a lot, if you look at the Japanese auction sites, there's a bunch of listings. I mean, comparative to how many number of people have gone through, you're talking like there's maybe 25 listings, you know, for 1,000 people who've been through there in the first 2 days. So it's not, do you know what I mean? It's not unexpected, but this restriction. So what they've done is they basically restricted you can only buy one per person. So for anyone who's not looked, they've got these amazing official Nintendo plush controller pillows. So there's a giant there's a giant Wii remote. There's a giant N64 controller, a Super Famicom controller, and a Famicom controller. So now the only way you can get all 4 of them or more than one is buying from scalpers. Because the tickets
is it one? I thought it was one like style per person, so you could get one of each, or is it just one?
pillow.
That's fucked. That's so bad.
So you imagine someone like me. It's like, well, I need at least 2 of those. Like, they're that's the coolest items at the shop, right?
Yeah.
So now the only way, because I mean, you only get a ticket. The tickets are drawn in a lottery, and they're done so 3 months in advance. So it's now the 4th of October, and they're drawing January. So unless you've planned your trip 3 months in advance and you've won a lottery, you're not going. And then when you go, you can only buy one of these items. So do you know what I mean? Like it's a bit kind of it's not been well thought out, I don't think, because for me this has encouraged the scalping. I bet you the prices will go up even more now because now they're even rarer items, right?
Yeah.
They're limited.
There's a few things about the museum that strike me as odd, like in terms of that as well, that they're almost kind of basically forcing you to make multiple trips, which isn't really convenient or possible for tourists because of the lottery system. Like the fact that they give you a card when you go in with coins on it that can be used on the kind of amusement type things that are there, but they don't give you enough coins to play everything there.
Yeah.
Basically means you can't rinse it. It's impossible to rinse it in one day. You have to go back. But the lottery system makes it impossible for you to go twice in one kind of holiday. So
I get the impression from what I've heard from people I know who've been, they've been quite on top of making sure it's not too crowded. Because anyone who's been to, like, say, for example, the Nintendo Tokyo store, it's horrendous. And certainly when I remember the first time I went, which was last spring, probably the first time major holiday you could go after they opened up after the pandemic, all of the major items were gone. It was a decent litmus test for what the least popular Nintendo characters were, because that's all that was left. You could get like Birdo plushies and, the blue Pikmin, but not the red and yellow one.
Yeah.
And, absolutely nothing from Mario and Zelda. So I understand that. I understand that they're on top of, like, keeping it a nice experience. But yeah, maybe we just need to stop being so materialistic, Chris. I say me.
Dragging me down to your level.
No, it's true. I'm going to give Chris a pass because we went to Japan together last year, and we went to Nintendo stores, and we went to like Akihabara and all of the major shopping spots, and Chris would just leave with nothing, and I'd be like, "Mate, you're not getting nothing." He's like, "No."
I've become more kind of discerning, and it used to be like I would just buy anything on site. But to be fair, last time I went, I did buy a load of shit when I was over just in the summer there. But I think it's just 'cause I'm in the process of trying to I've my games room is full now, and
mine is definitely pretty. You can see it's pretty full.
Yeah, so I'm in the process of having to empty that and get rid of a lot of stuff before I think about adding new stuff. Like, you've fucking got me into Lego, but maybe unconsciously, like when the Lego NES came out, and like you were going on about it for ages. I'm going to have to get this. So I ended up getting it, and then got the Lego bug. So now all I buy is Lego all the time.
See, that's one thing I've got out of. I don't think I'm going to get that. I mean, I got the coolest one is the Mario 64 question block.
The block,
by far, that's awesome.
Even though it's not the right block for Mario 64, that really annoys me.
That is really odd branding thing for them. But I got those and the NES, and I'm not going to get the Zelda, because the thing is like, I like building Lego, but once you've built it, you've got to put it somewhere. Like, they're even like they're on the shelf behind me. I'm going to get rid of them, I think. That's for me. Is I've started to like. I don't mind buying stuff if it has worth and it has a story behind it.
Yeah.
And like, because a lot of the stuff that I've got were sold to me by basically people who are me, but 20 years in the future, and they're just offloading it, and they're just happy that it's going to someone else who appreciates it. So the Super Nintendo television I've got behind me was sold to me by a guy who bought it when it came out in like 1991 or whenever it was, imported it from Japan. So he's just happy that it's going, and that's what I'll do, right? Like, I'll probably sell these on in the future. But it means that, like, I've stopped being so bothered about like tat. Because I think Nintendo fans went through a motion in the last like 18 months or the last couple of years. Like Nintendo's really become a licensing business now, right? Where they, you can buy lots of really, really cool stuff that you in the past you just couldn't, right? You just couldn't. Anything with Nintendo written on it was gold dust when we were kids.
Yeah.
Like I've got a little N64 controller. And it's it was amazing at the time. Whereas now there's so much choice. That kind of initial burst, like when the store opens, stuff like that, it's I've got to have this and I've got to have that. But now it's like now that that's normalized.
Yeah,
it's the shine has gone off it a little bit. I think it was kind of like the nostalgia thing of like Pikmin's a good example. I had these Pikmin figures on my desk when I started working at CVG. So that was probably like 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago. And they were like my prized items, right? These little Pikmin toys that you could get. I imported from Japan, from Gashers. Because you like a Pikmin thing, a Pikmin toy. Wow, that's cool. And I've had them, I kept them for all the years. Now I walk through the Nintendo stores and just leave the Pikmin merchandise there.
You can't
because there's so much of it. It's ridiculous.
I think that's why I was really into Amiibo in the first place, because Amiibo arrived at the time when it was still fairly kind of not unusual, but like in the West, like this is the first kind of time a lot of these characters were getting merchandise. So like as a kid, I would have ripped your lungs out for a Captain Falcon like figure or a Fox McCloud, and here was like little ones I could put on my shelf. And I think those are the ones I continue collecting just because I've got them all now, and it'd be stupid to kind of, now they're only releasing one every 6 months. It'd be daft to give up now. But I went through a period of collecting those Jack Specific action figures that they made in the US. They made a series called World of Nintendo, and you get them now as just you can get Mario figures and Sonic figures. But they, for a while, they were doing like Skull Kid,
some real deep cuts.
And so I've got quite a few of those. But I'm going to kind of stop now because my shelves are full of them, and I'm glad I got them because they're the stuff I never got as a kid. And like we've got them now, so I'm glad I've got them, and they've got a story behind them.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. The story element is important to me.
Yeah.
Like for probably any sane person, like looking at the all of the stuff that I've got behind me in my office, right? Mm-hmm. It's like it looks ridiculous. Like, you're hoarding this stuff, but it's really my career, right? Mm-hmm. This is I genuinely mean that. This is just stuff that gradually I'd get sent, or I'd collect from a press event, or from meeting someone. And I watched a video the other day about this this Nintendo collector's amazing collection. I think he might have even been British, and it was like a really awesome collection, like similar to mine but more really. Mm-hmm. And he had multiple signed items, like Miyamoto signed items. And I was like, and I was watching it thinking, I wonder how he got those.
Yeah.
And as he'd talk, he'd be like, I bought this from a journalist who was at a press event, or I won this, someone won this in a competition, I bought it from them. And I was sat there like sort of thinking like, if I was offered that, I wouldn't really want it.
No,
do you know what I mean?
Like, he didn't sign it for you.
It's not a piece of my story. Like when I got signed stuff back here, like my Miyamoto stuff, my Aonuma stuff, and whatever, that has a story attached to it. Like, that's when I interviewed Aonuma for this game, or that's when I met Miss Miyamoto for this. Or if someone offered it to me, it wouldn't really have as much value.
Yeah, no, agreed.
My office is fit to bursting with absolute shite. But
I love your shelf behind you. That's cool.
I wanted to be lit up more. Like it's hard to light it evenly and light myself in the room.
I got I could put like a Hue plug onto my shelf. Like it's just basic IKEA stuff, so I can turn like the lights on and off, right? So I can turn them on. For people who are listening on the audio, this is a very boring section where I'm lighting a shelf on and off.
Go on the YouTube channel if you're listening to this. Go on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, I need like, I wish I had a wider shelf. For wider things.
I'm looking forward to, if you're watching this on the YouTube channel 6 months from now, watch one of our recent videos now, because I'm hoping by then I'll be in my games room for these, because it's an absolute tip just now, and I want to clear it out and get my shelves looking like you guys' shelves, because I've got enough stuff to. Like I'm sitting in the living room just now, and it's just kids' toys behind me, which is like depressing.
I got a lot of time for like just kind of doing the podcast from your kitchen.
Exactly.
The thing
yeah.
is, like, you can't even to where I'm pointing on the video, like off to my left where I'm sitting, there is literally thousands of pounds worth of Pokemon merchandise here. I just can't put anywhere. Like, I have so many plush.
What's your address again, and when do you leave the door unlocked?
You could steal just my Pokemon cards and fund like 10 holidays to Japan, but
it's like the shelf. I'm in the middle of like just trying to rework all my stuff as well. Like that shelf behind, for people listening audio, there's a shelf behind me, a new one that I've just plonked there that I've inherited from another room, and it has, I would say, 7 or 8 signed Dreamcast games like Yu Suzuki, Izuka-san and Mizuguchi, and they're just sat there because I've worked out where to put them.
I'm going to insist we move on from this subject because I think we are giving away a good idea for a video where we go through all of our shite. So we'll move on for now.
The one thing I will add, because this isn't video game related specifically, is that the one accidental thing I did, which actually worked out really well, was that I invested heavily in horror movies like 10, 15 years ago. And now that I've got a 6-year-old who's curious about the films on my shelf, they're all going. But the fact that, because of the shite I watch, it's like really weird stuff. CEX gives you top dollar for that. So I'm literally like selling thousands of pounds worth of DVD, Blu-rays and stuff. Like they're all like, all this crap is just like sitting here getting ready to go. And I'm making like that. I was lucky that all that crap is actually worth something and not all straight to like bags to charity shops and stuff like that and getting nothing for it. So like, yeah, all good.
It's all going to.
But anyway, to circle it back round, I'll be at the Nintendo Museum in a couple of weeks, and I'm going to buy as much stuff as I can carry.
Which one controller do you want then? Are you going to get the Wii one, or are you going to
I'll get them.
Even if you have to bring a blade with you.
What I'll do is I'll get the Wii remote first and just batter them with the big Wii remote.
Chris, we'll be on the Slack and he'll send a picture with the cunts that fucking built the thing, being like, here's the guys that actually sewed it all together, and they've gave us an exclusive version of it as well. Speaking of merch, speaking of scalping, speaking of money, speaking of Japan, PlayStation has sorted out the scalping issues for this 30th anniversary console just in time for no one to be able to get them.
That's good.
In Japan, pre-orders are open for people who have played 30 hours of PlayStation 4 or 5 between February 2014 and September 2024. So in 10 years, if you played 30 hours of games, you're in. I don't think this will stop many people, but I wish they'd have done a version of this for the West.
It's a bit frustrating, isn't it? Because it's like, yes, you could have done this, PlayStation. Yeah, I'm a little bit. I don't want to be like, it's in this day and age. There's too much criticism of needless criticism, right? I think we need more positivity in general. But this is something that I feel like criticizing. It does feel like they just didn't bother with that, right? They knew what was going to happen. They knew this was going to get scalped to hell. Chris had one in his basket, and by the time he pressed, buy, it was like, it's gone. They knew this was going to happen. They could have got those consoles by limiting them. They could have got those consoles to the people who would appreciate them most and wouldn't just resell them for cash, but they didn't.
I should stress that the one in my basket was for you, in case people accuse me of being a hypocrite. For the amount of times I've said I'm definitely not buying a PS4 Pro, I'm still definitely not buying one.
Also, PS5 people accuse me of using Chris as my personal shopping butler. That is correct.
Well, it's because of that weird kind of random queue system that they implemented as well. Like, we both were waiting at the same time because I wanted the controller, the 30th anniversary DualSense. That's all I wanted. And we're both kind of waiting at the same time. And your queue said like over an hour, and my queue said 2 minutes. I was like, all right, well, I'll get it then. So it's like, because by the time you got on, they were gone by the time I got on, so let alone the people waiting for an hour for it. It was just poorly done. And it's like, I get 30 hours isn't a long time over 10 years to want someone who puts the time in, but it at least means you can't create multiple PlayStation
Also,
Direct
it creates the very humorous image of scalpers, like fucking just trying to play for Elden Ring for 30 hours.
Grinding free demos.
If I'd have got one of those, I would have opened it and used it, and that'd have been it. Like, see, people went absolutely crackers about the the 20th anniversary PS4. But see, if you want to buy one of them now, they're not thousands of pounds more expensive than a PS4 was. They're a couple of £100 more. So it's not some insane investment that you're going to make a ton of money on immediately. Like, I would have just...
Here's a wild idea that they could have done. You know, they limited it to 12,300. Limit it to 123,000.
Yeah.
Don't put a limit on it at all. We've spoken about this before. Do a limited run games. Make a cut-off point and then say, okay, that's how many have sold. And then start
I know because this is when they announced the Pro and like the anniversary. Like, when they announced the Pro, open the pre-order, and if you're going to miss your anniversary, just put the controllers and shit out on your anniversary, and people will get their consoles when they get them. But yes, if it was an open pre-order, I would have probably got one and then worked out for the next 6 months how I was going to afford it. But alas, we will be back after the break with some listener questions. We'll see you in a minute. And we are back for bonus podcasts, videos, and more. Patreon.com/Video Games Chronicle. This week, we released the first episode of We 3 Watch E3 with Sony's 2006 press conference. Andy, what was it like to relive the magic all these years later?
Yeah, it was even more dull the second time around. But at least I could openly talk, which, you know, we couldn't really do that when I was there in person. It was a shockingly boring, shockingly misjudged press conference in hindsight. A relic of a past where you can have 2 hours and an hour of which is spreadsheets and watching like commentary-less Gran Turismo races.
Everyone's talking about the network strategy. Everyone on the streets is talking about our network strategy and functionality online.
So if you want to watch something that's 2 hours of boredom, sign up to patreon.com.
Oh, yeah.
Really selling it.
It's amazing to see in the Discord how many people are like, I nearly skipped the GT section.
But there's the thing, genuinely, when we were watching it like live together, recording it, I reached out to skip during the GT at least twice and stopped myself for a realized, no, I can't do this.
Thanks, Carls. Okay, let's get into some questions. Matt H. Out of everyone on the pod, who's the biggest trophy achievement hunter? How do your platinum/gamer scores
in the world,
stack up? I don't think it's the easiest question in the world.
Oh, it really is. It really is, mate. Chris has spent best part of 20 years buying games just because they've got easy trophies. If Concord had easy trophies, right, he would be going out of his way to set up a network to get it back up. So
I should point out achievements rather than trophies. I'm very much an Xbox achievement whore.
Chris used to, like, literally it would be a major selling point if a game got a review and it was like 2 out of 10. Oh, but it's really easy, like 1,000 game points. Done Avatar, done Lost the game, all the shit that was easy, thousands. At one point, I used to live with Ryan King when he was at Official Xbox magazine, and when back in the good old days, you would get physical promo copies of games would turn up at the office, and they'd usually send a few copies just for anyone else in the office who wanted one. So whenever a new Xbox 360 game would come out and the promo copies would turn up like a week early, me and Ryan would each take one, and we used to live together, and we each had our own telly and our own Xbox in the living room, and we would just pump all the ranked battle achievements before anyone else was able to get online. So we would always do ranked matches and get matched against ourselves over and over and over again and get the win 100 ranked fights, and we'd spend like whole evenings just doing that to get the achievements.
That's the fucking days, man. See, that reminds me of when I had me and my pals when I was in uni started a YouTube channel as like the start, like right when at the start of when I wanted to do this.
I'm gonna find it.
It's all the videos are unlisted at this point because it's now just my YouTube channel.
Journalists will find them. We'll use our YouTube sources.
So we would record GTA Online stuff, but because of our recording setup at that time, we all had to be in the same room. So in my mum's kitchen, we had 3 PS4s, 3 tellies, mics, 3 laptops, like this most ridiculous setup. And you could see on the windows and stuff, just condensation immediately because the heat of the PS4s, like, and all the recording sessions had like a because all the PS4s had no air. They were all just like fired into each other. But it was the best times. Like last year when when COD came out, because it had all the old maps, my partner was like, oh yeah, I'm kind of interested in playing this. So we put two tellies next to each other, and we ended up like getting to the prestige level, just sitting playing COD. Like, that's the way to do it.
It's funny because like even to this day, if we get offered review code for stuff on multiple formats, I'll request Xbox, and it's because I'll get achievements rather than trophies. But it also that kind of throws a lot of kind of PRs and publishers like off because they're not expecting. That's the thing. It's like, so they'll send you an email saying, we've got review code for X game. You can request Switch, Xbox, PlayStation, or PC code, and I'll go Xbox, please, and they'll go, all right, we don't have that yet. So we weren't really actually expecting somebody to actually ask for that.
They blow the dust off of the spreadsheet that says like how to request an Xbox code.
I will say, because of like free time being at a premium these days, my achievement, my gamer score hasn't risen as quickly as it has in recent years. But I would also say that if Nintendo ever implements an achievement system, I will happily scrap everything. I'll be there.
You're going to fucking lose your job.
I'll be starting from scratch with Nintendo if they ever do it. I'll be there.
I've got like 40 platinum trophies, and a lot of them are like I Am Mayo, that game where you just click 100 times and you get a platinum trophy. There's so many games on the PSN that are like 99 pence, and they're basically an instant platinum because Sony doesn't look at the trophy list of any game whatsoever.
This is something that Xbox needs to do more. Is that back in the day I owned a Nokia Lumia phone, one of the few people with a Windows phone, because they had Xbox games on the phone that got you achievements. Like they had their own kind of bespoke games. I'd love to see now that Microsoft has got King on board, as in the developer King, not Ryan King.
Not Ryan King. Yeah.
I would like to see some of their Candy Crush and the like getting Xbox achievement support, so that when you're on public transport, you can still work towards your gamer score. That's something I'm requesting.
Yeah.
More mobile games with achievements and trophies on them, please.
Oh, I love trophies. It's so one of the greatest heartbreaks of my life was the trophy system on PS3 was like famously terrible. And if you weren't like, if you didn't sync your trophies properly, you could just lose them. So I have all the trophies in Assassin's Creed 2 apart from complete sequence 12. I've got 11, 13, and 14, but I didn't sync for 12, and you just can't get it unless you play through the whole game again, and I just wouldn't. I absolutely refused to play through it again.
I'm pretty sure that's the first game I 1000 G'd, Assassin's Creed 2.
So good.
What a game.
Chasing the feathers. Oh, See, if Ubisoft had a brain in their collective French nut, they would do a nice big remake of Assassin's Creed 2. I think that would go down very well.
They certainly are. Those halcyon days they were, like, just like literally my room at home, my parents' house, was just a double bed, and at the end a TV cabinet with like a 40-inch HD TV on it, and I would just wake up on a Saturday or a Sunday and just stay there.
Yes,
playing,
the first game. The first game I 1000 G'd, this is how day one I was the FIFA Road to World Cup launch game on 360, followed by Peter Jackson's King Kong on 360. That was my second 1000 G. Good old days, man.
I used to on a release weekend for a game, so Game Center, God rest it, they'd get their deliveries on either a late Wednesday night or a Thursday. If it was late Wednesday night, I wasn't going to school Thursday or Friday. I would just sit and play the game all weekend, trade it in on Sunday, and then continue the process. Or if it was a Thursday, the guy would literally text me while I was in school, be like, the games are in, and I would just leave at lunchtime and go and get the game.
Teachers like, why are grown-ups texting you while you're in school?
I'm sorry, Mass Effect 2 is in, I need to go. And it got to the point where my mum wouldn't even question it. She'd just be like, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, new game. I was like, oh, okay, fine. Look at me now.
Exactly. You were building for a career.
Yeah, exactly. I played, like, obviously, I play a comical amount of games now. Like, I play a ridiculous amount of games every year. I think I somehow played more then, because it was like when I really got really, really, really heavy into games, and I was like, I want to play absolutely everything. Like, I don't care. If it is a game that is released, I would just go and buy it, and if it's shite, whatever. But
I missed like this kind of where we're at now makes it harder to get like more achievements in games. Like, when we're reviewing so much stuff, you basically play through it to the end. You'll maybe tinker with the different difficulty levels to see how it affects the game, and then you move on. You don't have time to go back and collect every item in the world and all this kind of stuff. You just need to.
The amount of games I'll go like Final Fantasy Rebirth. I was like, I'd really like to go and platinum that. No time whatsoever. Just need to move on to the next thing.
Sad days. But if Nintendo does it, I'll find the time.
Yeah, I know.
I will find the time.
Your partner and your kid are like, are you gonna leave your game room at any point?
Thought, not until kid? I'll find the time.
Not until I have every. What would the Nintendo version of a platinum be called?
See, I think it would be stars instead of achievement points.
It would be
It'd be 1,000 stars for each game, and if you got the top one, you would be, I don't know, a superstar. Or some sort of pish.
You unlock a platinum Miyamoto, just his head.
It might not even, like I say, it might be like Xbox style. You might just see you've 1,000 starred it. And move it.
I'm surprised Xbox didn't implement a version of a platinum, like some kind of thing. I like the noise that. So when you unlock a Xbox achievement and it's rare, it does like a ridiculously over the top noise. Where it's like
trophy thing.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. And because we play games early, when we unlock trophies, achievements, they're all ultra rare.
So everyone
just happens rare. Over and over again.
I do also like the way the Xbox, when you will get an achievement, it then tells you what the achievement was for on the actual screen. Whereas PlayStation just says unlocked and tells you what the achievement was. You go, oh, what did I do? And you have to go into the menu and see what the
you can just press PS and it pops up.
I'm not quitting out the game.
No. Press PS and it pops up in the right hand in that wee square. That square just expands.
Does it? Does it tell you what you did?
Yeah. Sure it does.
It changes nothing. I'm still very much.
I still hate PlayStation, but it changes nothing.
Exactly. Oh no, I love PlayStation Today. Apparently, did you see that? Apparently, that's the only reason Silent Hill 2 got good reviews. Apparently, is because
welcome.
Game.
Welcome to the blue side of town.
That's what I've been told.
Yeah, big blue nose. Okay, next question, since we were on that for about 3.5 hours. Cyanide 1980. When the first gameplay dropped for Silent Hill 2 Remake, there was general bias towards it. Now that the scores indicate different, does it worry you that games are now being pre-review bombed, especially when it's for something like political agenda, meme culture, discourse behind the scenes, etc., or maybe marketing departments should be more self-aware? I think we talked about this in the review discussion, which you can go and watch on YouTube. I think that game was let down massively by how it was shown. Chris, you feel the same?
Yeah, and I think Bloober Team felt the same as well when the president came out after one of those kind of, I think it was the combat trailer or something. Everyone was like, "This looks shit," and he came out and said, "By the way, we're not doing the marketing for this. Like this isn't actually what the game's like." That was kind of awkward. I would imagine there'd been some awkward conversations between Bloober Team and Konami during that point. But yeah, it's quite annoying how the online community can basically decide a game's fate almost with some of these trailers, because like Concord was doomed to fail the second that first trailer came out and it got massively downvoted. Stuff like Metroid Prime Federation Force, you're going all the way back to that 3DS one. That's not a bad wee game, but it was decided right away, this isn't the Metroid game we wanted. No interest in it at all. It was like a solid 7 out of 10 game. It wasn't terrible, but it was like it sold like 4 copies, and so yeah, it's the way it seems to be going, that if your trailer doesn't, even though you don't see the dislikes anymore by default on YouTube, there's plugins that let you still see them, and people are still clicking them for stuff they don't like, even if there's not a visible reaction. So yeah, it's a shame. I mean, it happens in movies as well, though. So it's not like it's exclusive to games. But yeah, I'll stand by the all-female Ghostbusters movie.
Really quick sidebar: Have we seen the trailer for this Robbie Williams movie that's coming out?
Oh my god!
Has he got a film?
For those not, Chris,
going?
Who are they gonna?
Chris, you need to hear this. They're doing a biopic of Robbie Williams, but Robbie Williams is a CGI monkey in it. The entire film, he's a CGI monkey. I'm not joking. It's like everyone else is human. He's a CGI monkey, and he's Robbie Williams.
Is he trying to one up the Pharrell Lego one?
I mean, at least the Pharrell Lego one, everyone else is fucking Lego. Robbie Williams is a monkey.
He's. Oh, never mind. I don't know what he's saying. I can get in case he's listening. I don't want to get in legal trouble.
He's very litigious.
But Robbie Williams is.
He's very simian.
Yeah.
I could not believe.
Robbie Williams has had a great career, right? You know, made some like genuinely, incredible pop songs. But does he deserve a biopic?
No.
I mean, he's not Elvis. I mean, who else? Is it going to be like Gemma Collins next? Gemma Collins, the movie.
I'd be there.
A 40-minute recreation of when she fell through the stage at the Brits. And she was like,
be-
Love Island! And she fell right through. Google that if you've not seen that.
Day one for a ticket.
Or when she fell on her
IMAX.
arse on Dancing on Ice.
I'm looking at the kind of the thumbnail just now on YouTube moving. What's going on?
It's disturbing. Yeah,
he always did weird shit though. That rock DJ video where he peeled all the skin off for no reason. It's just have a word with yourself, Robert.
Yeah, Roberto Williams.
Yeah.
On this Silent Hill 2 thing, I think it's a weird situation where I don't know if we just get so hyper exposed to it because we're forced to be on like Twitter and social media and all this stuff. Like, does this stuff bleed through to like normal people? Like, for example, this Assassin's Creed Shadows absolute pile of nonsense. Does anyone who is not super logged in online know any of this is going down? Or are they just like, oh, there's a new Assassin's Creed game coming out and it's in Japan? Like,
also I hate that some people online seem to think that narrative is almost like a victory when a game like that ends up not doing so well. That they think somebody, I don't know what game it was recently, people were saying that one of the reasons some game failed was that because one of the people who worked on it was non-binary. And it's like, are you serious? Are you actually serious? Like, no one and they're talking about how Star Wars Outlaws didn't do well because it was woke. The Star Wars Outlaws didn't do well because the stealth bits at the stealth bits at the start are dog shit.
Stealth is woke.
Stealth is woke. Yeah. It's funny. It's ironic that because there's a lot of people who complain about woke who probably are worried about getting found out. Stealth is actually quite appropriate for them. But I don't know. It frustrates me because when people decide a game is woke for no reason other than maybe there's a couple of women in it, and then if the game doesn't do well, they take that as some sort of personal victory against woke, which is just it's beyond infuriating.
And then when a game that is the wokest game possible, like Baldur's Gate 3, is one of the biggest games in the past 10 years, they just hand wave it away. They go, oh no, that's good because it's got good gameplay. Yeah. Fucking shut up. Yeah, absolutely lobotomized freaks. Okay. Viva la Hazai asks, well, Jordan Midler mispronounced Hazai yet again. Well, if you would provide a pronunciation guide, maybe not.
Is it not just hazy?
I don't know. I've got no interest in finding out unless he provides it himself. Well, sorry, Will. I just my throat just collapsed on itself. I've been playing Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster, or Doctor as we call it around here, and loving it. It feels like I remember it, but going back and watching old videos, it's absolutely not like I remember. Do you think Studio should be doing more remakes from the 360 PS3 generation rather than PS4, Xbox? Absolutely. I can play all the PS4 and Xbox One games right now, but I can't play, well, I have a PS3, so I can, but theoretically, I cannot play Infamous, I cannot play Killzone, I cannot play Resistance. And I think this Doctor style remaster is the perfect kind of, just bring it up to modern-ish standards. I don't need you to spend 10 years on it.
Yeah, I think they're clearly testing that. I mean, I think they did a questionnaire, right, Capcom, where they alluded to that. Usually those questionnaires do lead to stuff from them, unlike a lot of the other kind of company ones. I think they're definitely testing the deluxe remaster, where it's like their branding for not quite a remake, where we've sort of brought it up to modern standards, but not really put in as much effort as you'd expect, like say from a full remake like a Dead Space. Yeah. So I expect we will be seeing more of those.
And I'm totally happy with those. Like playing through Doctor. Like obviously in the review, I was like, they could have maybe, if it was a full remake, they could have made it completely connected and not had loading screens. But when I was actually playing the game, I was just like, I'm happy to be playing this again and not playing it in 720p.
Being able to actually bloody save it.
Yeah, that was nice.
So genuinely, that game, right? I attempted to play it about 3 or 4 times on the original version, and each time managed to select the wrong option to save and gave up each time. 4 attempts at least. Wasn't it something like, do you want to save and continue or quit? and it was like, oh, save and continue. And then what that did was it saved your score, but then reset everything.
Yeah.
Doctor, I feel like a Nintendo DS, but we'll need to screen you twice then.
There we go. Thank you.
There we go. No, I'm up for it. I like the 360 era. I'd love to see more remakes coming from there. As long as they're done well. By all accounts, the Lollipop Chainsaw one wasn't that great. Apparently, it was quite buggy.
I'm hearing dodgy things about this Until Dawn PS5 version, by the
Same.
way, just this morning.
Same.
I've got a code for it, so I'm kind of interested to check it out. But people are saying that it's maybe not up to snuff. Although, if I was about to say something that potentially spoils it, but there's stuff going on in the Until Dawn verse. Yes, I trust Capcom to do it with all their stuff. Get Lost Planet on the blower, man. Those games were pish, but I'd play them again.
we need the Phoenix Wright versus Professor Layton. That's the only Phoenix Wright, the only Ace Attorney game that hasn't been redone. Once they do that, the entire series is on modern systems.
Lovely.
Amongst it. I guess trickier because it's Capcom and Level 5 together, so maybe there's reasons why that can't be remastered. But
they'll sort it out. It's not like they're trying to get the license to like Bam Margera. Speaking of, final question from Michael Gulliver on Twitter. Has any other non-gaming celebrity other than Tony Hawk had the cultural impact on the gaming space and wider social consciousness? That's an interesting
That's a big question for me to only see right now. Which I checked as well. I thought I'd better check so I've got some answers. I didn't see that one.
A non-gaming celebrity that's had a bigger impact in the world of gaming than Tony Hawk. Tiger Woods?
Yeah. John Madden.
Madden, definitely Madden.
Jim FIFA.
Gex, Stephen Gex. Yeah, that's a good shout.
It's got to be Madden.
But it's funny because there have been like some people over the years who have become famous, or at least, if not household names, certainly more known to people who wouldn't have known them because of their video game. Like for a while back in the 8-bit days, I was aware of Ivan Iron Man Stewart because Super Off-Road on the NES was like he was attached to that, and I would never have known him otherwise. Mario Andretti Racing on Mega Drive, the only Mario game on the Mega. Well, one of two Mario games on the Mega Drive is Mario Andretti Racing and Mario Lemieux Hockey.
Yeah.
But certainly Tony Hawk's the big one. I would agree with Madden as well. Madden's the other one.
It's also like culturally contextual because like in the 90s and early 2000s, if you're in the UK, how you finding out about Tony Hawk, but like obviously with sports people, it's a bit different. Like Tiger Woods on the telly and stuff like that. But yeah. Good question. Bring back Tony Hawk. Just bring him here. Get him on the fucking pod. Although you listen to Tony Hawk speak the past couple of years, it's like you've fell on your head many times, haven't you?
Most of his stories not just about people recognising him as Tony Hawk and thinking he looks like Tony Hawk, and he's like, and then I said, I am Tony Hawk. And it's like, yeah.
Yeah, he's in the middle of an island, a plane, then he just hits a quick 900. Yeah. I'm a better skateboarder than him today, I would say, pound for pound. Anyway, if you want to prove that, go to patreon.com/videogameschronicle, where I attempt to do a 900, as in 900 stone. Coming up next week, we've got review on Monday. We've got for fans of a certain little robot, there is something very cool coming up. And I think anything for you to tease, Chris?
A review at the end of next week. But that's
it sounds positive about it.
No, I just can't remember the date, but it's one of those ones that's so tightly locked I can't even. Yeah, we'll just stop there. There's a review coming of a game.
Secrets. Yeah. Anything for you, Andy? When are you going away again? I feel you two are pissing off. There's going to be.
That's right. I'll be Disneyland Paris later this month. I'll be filming. Try to get as much video game coverage as I can out of Disneyland Paris.
Yeah, find all the Kingdom Hearts stuff. Programming note: at some point during this month, both of these clowns are going to be out of the country, so I'm going to have to replace them with other old white men. But we'll find something to do with that. Andy's going to.
So the website's officially going to shut down then.
It's fine. I'll be spinning plays. Andy's away to see Secret Family. But until then, thank you very much for listening and watching. Thanks to Grant hope for VGC's podcast theme. Say goodbye, Chris.
Goodbye, Chris.
Say goodbye, Andy.
Goodbye.
And we'll see you next time.